Hello, a very warm welcome to Granada Reports. We're live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello there. On the programme this evening.
Counter-terrorism police investigate after chemicals and explosives are discovered at a home in Leyland. We have the latest.
They left their homes to help rebuild ours. 75 years on, the northwest pays tribute to the Windrush generation.
If you like the music, if you like the food, there's a little bit of Windrush in everybody, I think.
Should music festivals be testing drugs on site? The man behind Parklife hits out at the government, claiming lives are at risk.
Volunteering to help those back home. How Chorley's Ukrainian aid charity is seeing demand spike after the destruction of one of the country's dams.
You're a true inspiration to all of us, and the World Games is now your stage. Good luck.
And all the motivation they'll need. How Team GB's footballers are being inspired by the very best as they compete at Berlin's Special Olympics. So please stay with us. First tonight, though, a man's been arrested and counter-terrorism police are investigating after explosives and chemicals were found at a house in Leyland.
There's been a huge police response in the town, with some nearby homes being evacuated.
Our reporter Emma Sweeney joins us live from the scene tonight. Emma, what more can you tell us?
Well, Lucy, it was around 6 o'clock this morning that police arrived here at a nursery close to a house that's out of sight. It's just down there, and they arrived here with a search warrant. Now, what we're told is they uncovered a number of suspicious items when they went into that house, and what followed, of course, as you can imagine, was a hive of activity here involving the emergency services. Locals had to be evacuated, and many of them, of course, will have questions as to what on earth was going on. Well, about an hour ago, police held a conference here to address some of those concerns.
A 59-year-old man from Leyland was arrested at the scene on suspicion of offences under the Explosives Act. At this time, he remains in custody. The investigation is being led by Counter-Terrorism Policing Northwest. Officers, including specialists from the military's explosive ordnance disposal, are in attendance at the address and are working to make items and materials safe.
Well, as I say, this has caused quite a lot of disruption here throughout the day. An event to mark the 75th anniversary of the Windrush generation had to be cancelled at a nearby civic centre. Locals here told to expect disruption over the coming hours. It is an ongoing investigation. No doubt police will provide updates as and when they get them. For now, I'll hand back to the studio.
Emma, thank you.
Well, next they answered the call to help rebuild Britain after the Second World War, but in return, many were threatened with detention and deportation.
Well, today, as Emma was saying, it marks 75 years since the arrival of the Empire Windrush, the first of many ships which brought people from the Caribbean to help rebuild Britain.
Events have been held across the region to pay tribute to those who settled in the northwest and the huge contribution they've since made.
For many, though, today's celebrations are bittersweet, tainted by the injustice of the Windrush scandal.
Our reporter Tim Scott spent the day talking to the descendants of those who made those life-changing journeys.
The Empire Windrush brings to Britain 500 Jamaicans. Many are ex-servicemen who know England.
75 years since these Commonwealth citizens began arriving from the Caribbean and settling in the UK in the post-war years, heeding the call for workers to help rebuild the country. Today, the Northwest celebrated the anniversary with events in our towns and cities. This celebration at Bolton University featured local boy Clive Myrie, whose parents came over on Windrush.
You know, my parents were country people from Westmoreland in south west Jamaica, and for them to come to Lancashire, Bolton, and see these dark satanic mills and the smog and the smoke and the traffic and white faces, so many of them, was a revelation.
In Old Trafford in Manchester, Joanne Thompson, who came over on Windrush and was an NHS nurse for 36 years, owns this Jamaican bakery. The UK weather was a shock at first for her too.
Never seen snow before, So that was a bit frightful, and it was so cold coming from the really hot country. But we soon adapt, you know. My sister gave me a lovely warm coat and, you know, just teach us how to keep ourselves warm and so on, you know, that we don't get a chill and so.
I always say, you know what, if you like the music, if you like the food, there's a little bit of Windrush in everybody, I think.
In Preston, community activists and children of Windrush parents David Williams and Glenda Andrew are spending the day celebrating the Windrush legacy.
It's about us coming together and celebrating what our parents and grandparents gave us. That's why we dress like this, you know, dress, fashion, music, food, cricket, dominoes.
So happy to be British and happy to be called British?
I'm British. My parents came from Dominica. I'm from Dominican descendants, and that's what it is. So it's not a matter of something pulling me back because I've never been. Well, I have been, but I've never. Yeah. I wasn't born there.
You're happy to be British. You're happy to call yourself British.
Yes.
Of course, it's impossible to talk about Windrush without mentioning the Windrush scandal, where 5 years ago, as a result of the Home Office's hostile environment policy towards immigrants, hundreds of the Windrush generation were deported, detained and denied legal rights despite living here for decades. Many are still waiting for the compensation promised to them.
People who have faced those problems are applying for compensation. Some have received compensation, but there are still others that are waiting, and it's causing them great stress.
Meanwhile, in London today, the King gave his blessing to the Windrush anniversary in a special service at St George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. It was a sign of the gratitude owed by the whole country to the Windrush pioneers from 75 years ago, whose arrival has enriched our culture from 1948 to the present day. Tim Scott, ITV News.
Well, one family that really left their mark on the northwest are the Ogbetters from Salford.
Elaine Ogbetter's father, Ashley, arrived in 1961, later settling in Preston. His story has since been immortalised in a play written by his own daughter.
Anna Joseph sat down with Elaine and Ashley, who's now 90, to reflect on a life well lived here in the northwest. Ashley started with his first impressions of Britain when he stepped off that ship.
Well, it was very cold and it was very hard to get work and houses.
When your dad tells you about everything that he went through, everything that generation went through, how does it make you feel?
Well, it really does break my heart, you know, that it actually happened to him when he came to his country. Because obviously they came to work, they came to support the economy, and obviously didn't expect to be treated the way they was treated. So obviously it broke my heart so much so that, you know, it's in my play what I wrote. I talked about, you know, some of the things that happened to him. When he came here, the door slammed in his face, for example, and when he was looking for accommodation as well, you know, they said no blacks, no Irish.
Why do you think it's so important that we teach our children and our grandchildren about Windrush?
I definitely think it's important because, you know, they need to learn, they need to know about the heritage, they need to know, you know, where they're coming from. And sometimes books don't tell us that, or history don't show us that in schools. So when my dad tells me, you know, about his life, and I tell my children, and they hopefully will tell their children, he's keeping the heritage alive. You know.
And you have some very successful grandchildren as well, don't you? That have been some big names in the sporting world.
My daughter's called Naomi, and she does triple jump. And my son is called Nathaniel, and he's a footballer. She was in the Commonwealths last year. She's done so many different competitions, yeah.
So can you imagine, did you ever think, Ashley, that when you stepped off that ship, that you would have grandchildren that would be representing Great Britain in the sporting world?
Well, if you trust in God, He will work the future out for you.
Yeah. It's Windrush Day today.
It is, yeah.
What's your hope for the generations to come?
I just hope that we continue to celebrate, you know, and hopefully it's going to be a yearly thing. Celebrate our culture, our heritage, you know, and, you know, just to be happy to know who we are and where we're coming from.
Yeah, the Ogbetters talking to Anna Yosef there. Well, next night, the organiser of one of the region's biggest music festivals is claiming the government's risking lives by blocking the on-site testing of drugs.
Yes, Sasha Lord, the man behind Manchester's Parklife Festival, is hitting out after his team were unable to test for dangerous drugs.
Well, meanwhile, the Home Office says their position hasn't changed and drug testing providers must have a licence to test at festivals.
Tonight, the family of one young woman who died after taking drugs at Leeds Festival say testing is vital to keep people safe.
Claire Hannah reports.
Just a gorgeous person through and through. Just a unique and lovable character. Massive part of the family.
But a family left devastated after Anya went to the Leeds Festival in 2019 and never came home. She suffered heart failure after taking drugs. As a result of that, her auntie now volunteers with The Loop, which carries out drugs testing at festivals.
The chances of somebody taking something when they know what's in it, it's over 60% get rid of what they've got.
Is that true?
Yes. Yeah. Fact.
Do you think if the drugs that Anya had taken had been tested, do you think she will still be alive?
Anya would have been equipped to make an informed decision.
And that is what The Loop does. It provides that information. It sends out warnings via mobiles and social media if an unsafe substance has been picked up at a festival, so people know if they want to take it or not. And it's been doing this at festivals for about 10 years. In the past, all it's had to do is ask the local police force if they can go on site. This year, though, that changed. Just days before they were due to set up at Parklife in Manchester last week, the government told them they needed to apply for a licence from the Home Office. Now, the Home Office has given us a statement to say this is nothing new.
Drug testing providers must have a licence to test for controlled drugs, including at festivals. We've consistently made this condition clear, and law enforcement have always had a responsibility to uphold this legal requirement. We continue to keep an open dialogue with any potential applicants. Festivals aiming to test drugs off their site this summer must work with the police and a Home Office licensed drug testing provider.
But Sasha Lord, who runs Parklife, says the Home Office is out of order.
You know, there are times that have happened at our festival and at other festivals across the UK where people have been poorly, and you've been able to say to their friends, well, describe what they've taken, and they describe it, and the scientists have found something similar in the batch of confiscations that sounds like what they've taken. They can test it, give the doctors the information from the test, and that gives that person a fighting chance and has saved lives. So this is really dangerous what they're doing right now.
The Glastonbury Festival is well and truly underway now, and bosses have confirmed drugs testing is in place there because some of the bigger festivals do use private companies. And for Anya's family, they say any way the information is spread is better than none.
You know, we can be blind to what goes on, or we can be realistic. We just want people to have a great time and be safe. We don't want to be worrying about our loved ones and whether they're going to make it home or not.
Claire Hannah, ITV News, Oldham.
You're watching Granada Reports. Here's what's still to come on the ITV News at 6:30 with Mary.
Coming up with the programme, misery for mortgage holders as interest rates rise to 5%, the highest in 15 years. The Bank of England is battling to bring down soaring prices, but will its tactic pay off? Also tonight, we'll bring you the very latest on the search to find the lost Titanic son. Here, it's 75 years since the Empire Windrush docked, celebrating the pioneers who came from the Caribbean. And join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Now, MPs of all parties came together today to say that it's time for compensation for everyone affected by the infected blood scandal.
Yeah, a scheme was recommended by an official inquiry back in April, but politicians say their constituents want justice now.
Well, let's cross live now to our political correspondent, Leisha McNally in Westminster. Leisha, lots of MPs calling for action from the government tonight.
That's right, Andy, and that's because today's debate comes against the backdrop of some really tragic time pressures. Of the thousands of people who were given infected blood, one now dies on average every 4 days. and every death means families left mourning their loved ones, not knowing if, when or how they'll ever be compensated for their loss. So as you say, today MPs from all political parties came together to tell the government that it's simply not good enough, that when people are being left with life-limiting illnesses, justice delayed is too often justice denied. It was certainly denied to Peter Mosman from Manchester, who was infected with hepatitis C while getting treatment for haemophilia. He spent decades campaigning on behalf of other victims of the scandal, but died before the public inquiry he fought for could conclude.
They need to act, and they need to act fast. The government needs to show a level of compassion. They can't empathise with these people because they've never been through it, but they need to now start showing some compassion to people who have been fighting this for, some people for 35 years. Don't prolong the agony. Let's get this sorted, come out, communicate with everybody and let everybody know what's happening.
So where are we now? Well, the public inquiry into the scandal recommends a UK-wide independent compensation scheme that's extended not just to victims and their spouses, but to bereaved parents and children as well. The full findings will be published in the autumn, but today MPs urge the government not to hide behind that deadline, but to crack on with delivering payments now. One of the first on their feet, the MP for Knowsley.
People who are experiencing this problem are investing a great deal of hope into this debate today. But if we're going to redeem the need to honour those who have been victims of this, it needs to go that little bit further now so that a proper compensation scheme reaches them all.
Well, the debate didn't go further now, despite the wishes of that Merseyside MP. A minister said no final decision on compensation had been made because the government is still grappling with complex questions like how to administer any payments, whether new legislation would be needed, and what the final costs could be. The minister added he was sorry not to be able to bring more information to the House today, but that work is ongoing and they have to get it right.
OK, Alicia in Westminster, thank you.
Mothers who fled Ukraine with their children have been telling Granada Reports it's more important than ever to be sending aid there.
Since coming to this country, they've tried to build lives for their youngsters while watching their homeland be torn apart.
We spoke to a group in Chorley who've been dispatching food, clothes and medicine to Ukraine since the Russian invasion.
They told our correspondent Rob Smith the destruction of a key dam has made the humanitarian crisis much worse.
Loading up for a 1,500-mile journey to a war zone. Critical aid heading in the opposite direction, travelled by Oksana and Mariana. The two mums fled Ukraine with their children. Now they pack clothes and medicine in Chorley for orphaned kids and frontline soldiers back home. Mariana's apartment in Kyiv is a burned-out shell. She's beyond thankful her son is away from the Russian invasion.
We're here because of our children. If, for example, not my child, I'm still sitting in bomb shelter and not moved here any country. But, when your child sitting, not sleeping a lot of nights and not eat, and you're trying to move in any safe place.
The destruction of a key dam in Ukraine's made parts of the country even less safe. Hundreds of square miles flooded, homes and farmland ruined. Amid the boxes she helped prepare, Oksana told me it's made those more important than ever.
Now in Ukraine, very crazy and very hard situations. Russian attack in Ukraine every day, and a lot of people, children, are less without home. And a lot of people need clothes, food, and the special maybe medicine.
Vans full of supplies have already been sent to hospitals in Ukraine. The support group The Mums Help is raising money to provide a medical evacuation vehicle too. The group's organiser appreciates why it matters to those there and here.
Humanitarian aid that we've already sent and been sending for the last 12 months, we need to do that again. People are being affected for a second, third, fourth time. To see our guests from Ukraine come and volunteer their time and to hear that they feel like they're part of a family, it's very humbling.
Translating English labels into Ukrainian is a small yet vital contribution. This aid will often be unpacked amid sirens and explosions. Knowing what's inside in a hurry counts. something those who fled are painfully aware of. Rob Smith, ITV News, Chorley.
OK, on to sport now. Manchester City prepared to bid farewell to their skipper, Mike.
Yeah, no surprise he's leaving. It's been rumoured for a number of months now, but İlkay Gundogan is set to sign for Barcelona when his City contract expires next week. City were keen to keep the 32-year-old Germany international and had offered him a new one-year deal, but it's understood he's agreed a more tempting 3-year contract in Spain. He will, of course, forever be remembered as the man who led City to the treble. City are now being linked with a move for West Ham's Declan Rice. Next season's Football League fixtures have been released today. It all kicks off in 44 days' time on August the 5th. Blackburn Rovers, who narrowly missed out on the Championship playoffs last season, will start at home to West Brom. Preston North End are away at Bristol City. Wigan Athletic will begin life in League One away to Derby County. And like Wigan, Blackpool also dropped into League One. They will kick off against Burton Albion at Bloomfield Road. While in League Two, Stockport County will dust themselves down after their playoff final defeat at Wembley. They open up at home to Gillingham. Well, next to our coverage of the Special Olympics, which are taking place over in Germany. Tonight, we meet members of Team GB's football squad, who received surprise messages from both Sir Alex Ferguson and Jurgen Klopp before their opening match. Catherine Walker reports.
Ahead of the game, the team gathered for a surprise pep talk from none other than Jurgen Klopp.
You're a true inspiration to all of us, and the World Games is now your stage. Good luck.
The Liverpool manager joined Eddie Howe and Sir Alex Ferguson to wish Great Britain good luck.
All the best.
It's a morning Bradley won't ever forget.
It was great. I'm a Liverpool fan, so hearing a message from my team's manager is absolutely amazing. It's an absolute dream. I never thought I'd get this opportunity in my life. I won't forget this time.
And Special Olympics Great Britain.
Motivated by the greats, the team took to the pitch, and it wasn't long before they scored a goal. Bradley's mum couldn't contain her excitement.
Oh my God, it's absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah, brilliant. I've always said to him, when he's sitting on the sofa in the lounge when he was younger, I always said to him, Bradley, one day Klopp's going to ring you up and he's going to call you up and you are going to get picked to play for England. And he's been picked to play for England.
The chance to represent their country is a huge opportunity for the entire team. And Jack Venturini was overwhelmed by the enormity of the occasion.
It means the world to me, like, to be selected for GB and wearing this shirt, just a dream come true.
You must be so proud of yourself.
I am pumped. Yeah, I've worked so hard to get here. Yeah, so I'm really happy and yeah, I'm good.
Watching on the sidelines, it's also a career highlight for team coach Ben.
I wrote on a post-it note about 6 years ago that I wanted to coach at a Special Olympics World Games, and dream come true for me. Everything about it has been top class, so to come to a World Games, but to come to a World Games like this is pretty special.
Especially when Great Britain wins 6-0. With hugs and kisses all around, it's clear the memories they've made today will last a lifetime.
Well done, Charlie.
Catherine Walker, ITV News in Berlin.
Yeah, what a week they're having out there. That is your sport tonight.
Yeah, we knew that message would do the trick. Mike, thank you. Well, now let's look at the weather with Kerry.
Mum, wet wipes, toilet or bin?
Bin. Why?
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello, very good evening to you. Sunshine and showers across the region today. Warm sunshine and heavy showers. And of course, yesterday was the longest day. A big thank you for your photos, like this one at Southport by Cheryl Duran and this beautiful one here by Chris O'Donnell in Knutsford. As we head through into the next couple of days, there is a little bit of a difference to our weather story. So we could see a little bit more cloud around and also some showers to western fringes as we head through into tomorrow. Low pressure is out in the Atlantic. High pressure is building for the weekend, but it pushes out towards the south and east, allowing for these weather fronts to nudge in a little bit from the west over the next few days or so. So for this evening, a few showers in the mix, but mostly dry and clear to begin. And then as the night progresses, we will see the clouds start to build, some low cloud out into the Irish Sea and freshening those winds out towards the Isle of Man by dawn. It's a mild and muggy night for all overnight tonight. Another great shot. A big thank you to Heather Bolton for sharing 4:40 and 9:46 are your sun times as we head into Friday. So for Friday, cloudier skies pretty much from the word go, and then showery outbreaks of rain, but heavy at times, will start to develop in the west, initially for the Isle of Man, pushing onto the coastline, and then fizzling out but pushing eastwards through the second half of the day. So all in all, it's still warm and humid, but on the thermometer, temperatures down by a good 4 or 5 degrees. So the showery bits of rain push through tomorrow night, and then as we head into the weekend, I think western fringes probably could see quite a bit of cloud around on Saturday, but there will be some bright spells. It will still feel warm and sticky, certainly overnight into Sunday. And then Sunday, probably better sunny spells, especially in eastern parts. Highs up to the mid-20s, much fresher after rain as we head into Monday.
Cleaned up well.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
And finally, very big congratulations to the incredibly talented Liv Cook.
Oh yeah, wait for this. The freestyle footballer from Cheshire has set her 7th Guinness World Record, and this time she's done it on board a cruise ship.
Yeah, look at her go. She's landed 76 crossovers, all the while sitting on the Symphony of the Sea ship in Barcelona.
Look at that, great celebration. I think I could only probably manage 75.
Go on then.
I am. Get the ball now.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
We're out of time. That's